Well, hello, darlings. Happy hot topics. Oops, I'm just getting things organized while we find the stream. I started a little late. The president was speaking. He's still finishing up. I wanted to hear what he was saying about a couple of things. Obviously, hi, everybody. Welcome. I'll let you guys find it. Some people are still watching the president. The president is doing a conference. And of course, we can talk about that as people find the stream and how you're feeling about the concerns that are growing regarding Joe Biden, his age, etc. Should Joe Biden step down during the Democratic uh, during our what is it, the Democratic National Committee, when we all get together? When is that going to be, in August? So, hi, Desiree Rabato. Hello. Well, we had a great class yesterday. It was an awesome possum class. For those of you who were able to make the class, we are teaching mystical tarot. So we get into the area of Kamala. And we also teach people how to read Hebrew. And yeah. So the debate that's going on right now has to do with possible cognitive or mental decline in Joe Biden. Evidently, there was a doctor that visited the White House, and he was specifically looking at Parkinson's or Parkinsonian symptoms. Now, we don't know if that was the president or somebody else, but it's looking like it was probably the president. The problem with Parkinson's is that it can also have an impact on mental acuity. So if you're looking at someone like Professor Lichtenstein, is that how you say his name, Lichtenstein or whatever? He says that if Joe Biden steps down and gives it to Kamala Harris, we will still win the presidency. We will not lose any keys. If you're looking at the keys to the White House, because we would not be losing Joe Biden's mandate. And this would be a way for Joe Biden to step down and give it to somebody younger while still maintaining his mandates. Now, if he does that, that's great. Then she can get Joe Biden endorsing her, and she can bring on a candidate like Pete Buttigieg as her running mate. And at that point, that's a pretty impossible ticket to break, Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg. Well, I think Pete Buttigieg will take the male independent vote, and specifically the Midwest vote, because he's from Indiana. So that's why a lot of people are looking to him as the running mate if Kamala does take it, if the decision is to maintain the mandate, which is, according to Professor Lichtenstein, that's the most logical thing for us to do. If he, in fact, does have these types of conditions and we're just emotionally attached to Joe, is that what's best for the country? And this is one of the things that Elon Musk has pointed out in some of the debates. Not that he's a Republican. He believes that Republicans have a right to say things. He's not going to change his vote, but that he has concerns about anybody being in the White House that's showing evidence of cognitive decline, because it's not rational, just because we love them, to keep them there if they're not able to continue working. And so we need to be looking for not a Republican. That's not what Elon Musk was saying. We need to find a young Democrat that can beat Trump. So that was why he was interviewing different Democratic candidates. But I think that the solution would be is so that we don't have a fascist in the White House, is to, if he does need to step down, we need to go 100% behind Kamala Harris. And if you ask me, I've looked at the data, I've looked at the research. The best candidate for her to go with is a Midwest candidate middle of the road that can appeal to male voters, independents, men that don't have white males that don't have a college degree, Midwest. We're talking about Pennsylvania, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Minnesota. That best person polling would be, hands down, Pete Buttigieg. And he's got the health and the youth that and the military background that people can feel safe if something were to happen to Kamala Harris. Now, that's just my opinion. We can go ahead and we can do an impasse prayer. Yes, that's right. Chat is only for subscribers. That's right. So to subscribe, you have to be a subscriber for 5 minutes. So you just and it just keeps the trolls away. It makes the job of Debbie and the other people that are moderators a lot easier if they don't have to deal with anybody and everybody. It's only for 5 minutes. And most people, after 5 minutes, they can calm down and speak rationally if they have something to say. Cheers, everyone. All right, so the tea that I'm drinking right now to treat my upper respiratory infection, you guys had asked me about that. I chose the mountain sage from Crete and the Crete herbs. There are different herbs, wild herbs and flowers that grow in Crete, and they've been researched for having antibiotic properties, anti-inflammatory, but also antimicrobial. And I'm going to actually take a moment to get you these herbs so you can see them, because a lot of you were asking me how I was treating it without going on antibiotics. And you can hear it's almost gone now. So give me a second. I'll help you with that. Okay, so there's a wildflowers blend. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I'm also a medical intuitive. And I paid my way through medical school as a tarot card reader. So a lot of people, I don't know why I don't spend more time talking about this stuff with y'all. But anyway, first herb I want to talk to you guys about, if you are experiencing upper respiratory infection, elderberry, you can get it as flower and as a dried berry, was worshipped by the Druids, Sambucus nigra. It is associated with the goddess of the fairies. Winter healing. I guess the berries would come in the snow. Healing, clairvoyance, exorcism, protection against, exorcism, right? Negative spirits. So when people would have an infection, it was like a negative spirit, and then they would gather and the elderberry that would grow in the snow. And God, it smells so caramely good. I also do tea readings. But yeah, I make people's medicines for them. So elderberry is one of the ones I use to build people's immune system. Research shows that it lowers interleukin-6, which is an inflammatory marker our body produces when we feel like we have the flu. And so that's why drinking elderberry to clear the interleukin-6 makes you feel better. Okay, and then the next one we have here is sage. This is good old-fashioned sage from Mount Olympus. And incredibly antimicrobial and drying. And so if you are a pitta, if you have too much oil and too much heat, or ama, it's also known as ama waste, in Ayurvedic medicine, then I would strongly recommend sage. It's like a disinfectant for your gut, your body. I mean, you feel it. You can make sage tea and then use that sage tea, add a little bit of alcohol or vinegar to the sage tea to store it. And then at that point, you've got a toner. You don't have to spend $1 million on toners. All you have to do is boil some sage tea and keep it in a bottle. And you can add like part alcohol to it just to keep it disinfected. But you don't want to add too much alcohol, only a couple tablespoons. Anything more than that, and it's going to dry you out, right? So that is how we remove acne. Also neem, you can do the same thing. Or you can do 1 part sage to 1 part neem if you're doing an acne treatment. And then you want to remove anything that's causing heat, sticky heat, or ama in the gut if a person has acne. Unless it's PCOS, in which case it's a totally different treatment. Okay, and then the last one I was really excited to get recently as I begin to study the herbs of Crete. Yes, witch hazel. Very good, Debbie. Debbie's really intelligent. She's a talent scout, talent manager, and she helps new rising talent here on YouTube. She was my talent manager and creative director for about 6 months. She comes in and she's like the doctor of your channel, and she revamped everything from the camera angle to the lighting design, the pictures, everything. So yeah, I don't know how to do that stuff. So yeah, you gotta talk to Debbie. So thank you, Debbie. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your guidance. All right, Dittany of Crete. Dittany of Crete. I'm telling you, excuse me, the herbs of Crete, unbelievable how much power is packed in these herbs. And look at the shape. Look at the shape of this particular plant. It's got like a fur on it. And in the doctrine of signatures, like treats like, and we have a fur coating. In Chinese medicine, you have a fur coating on your tongue, on your throat, maybe from fungus, etc. So like treats like. You can see with the Dittany, you can see that fur coating, just like a fur coating on your tongue when you've got the flu. Look at that. That's mucus, right? Can you guys see this? I don't know. Tell me if you're able to see the fur coating of the Dittany. In herbal medicine, this is called the doctrine of signatures, when we see what something does by looking at the actual structure of the plant. But one of the things I love about Dittany is you can see the coating of the tongue. Isn't that cool? And it actually, the fur will come off. You can pick it off. And in fact, this is used to clear ama or waste and too much heat and waste in the in the alimentary system. Yeah. Okay, so you can get those anywhere and everywhere. I got mine on iherb.com or Amazon. Yeah. Cheers, everyone. It's getting better. I didn't want to go on antibiotics. Yeah, it's clearly still there, but not as bad as it was when I first got back. I mean, I had a very serious bout of COVID, and I was vaccinated 3 times. I was close to going to the hospital in Japan. You know, I fainted a couple times. I collapsed a couple times, and I was sweating. And you know, when you're that sick, you don't even know what's wrong with you. It wasn't until I started to recover, Frances got it also, that we realized we had COVID. And I caught it on the plane and then I gave it to her. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some, do some blitzes. Oh, he was there. According to Kitty Connell, the Parkinson's doctor was not there for Biden. I don't think we're going to lose the election, though, if Kamala Harris comes in at the Democratic committee at the at our conference, if he bows out and says, the lady's up for the dance, she's had 4 years. I trust her to be a great president. And I think that if she ask Pete Buttigieg to be her running mate, I think we can be very confident going forward, and we're not going to lose any of the keys to the White House. He's not going. It doesn't matter who he has as a VP person. They cannot beat Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg is highly respected by the military. And he's got everything we need. He's LGBTQ. He's former U.S. Military. He was CIA, so he has a really high security clearance. I just think that he would be the most logical choice. Now, there are other people that think that it should be an all-woman ticket if he decides to do this. That would be like her and Klobuchar, but then you use another senator from a Midwest state, so that doesn't make sense. The reason why Buttigieg makes sense is because you're not losing any Senate or congressional seats, and because he's known. Yeah. Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and get somebody else for transportation. I just work here. Okay, let's do the impasse prayer. Maybe you disagree with me. Find somebody else, but I'm going with Buttigieg. All right, do I have my cards? I feel like this is not all my cards. That's because I don't have all my cards. Hold on. Okay, let's do the impasse prayer. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our planets, the planet, our families, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. All right, let's look at the questions. Blitzes are usually 5 minutes or less so that we can get as many questions in as possible. If you haven't had a chance to share, like, or subscribe, think about doing it. It really helps the channel. Also, memberships are great. They help keep the channel up and running. Much gratitude to those people who make donations. Okay, that doctor has come to the White House for years. He's Walter Reed, expert neurologist. Oh, there's a neurologist. Okay, cool. Biden embodies our values. Yes, he does. But in time, we all have to retire. And so it'll be completely okay if, I don't think we're going to lose if he decides to step down and give it to Kamala Harris. The president shouldn't have to hold a press conference, says Jill Linda, in order to prove he's capable. If the U.S. people are concerned, then yeah, I think it's completely okay for people to say they're concerned. We all know we're concerned about Trump. We're not going to be voting for Trump. Those of us who are voting Democrat that want to make sure we win, we're looking at everything, but we're also looking to make sure we're doing the right thing morally and ethically. So I'm riding with Biden, and if he doesn't step down, I'm riding with Biden, and if he does step down, I'm riding with Harris. So nothing changes for me, but that isn't how we win elections. How we win elections is that we think in terms of how we can get our umbrella to be as wide as possible. And that means making sure that everybody that's pro-choice votes blue, no matter who. And we have to just convey that over and over again if you are a Democrat, which I am. So if people are saying, I'm not going to vote because, if the data shows that at the convention, we're not going to contest it and just hand it straight over. If the data shows that that's how we win, then we need to go with the data. If the data shows that that is not how we win and we need to go with Biden, then we need to stay with Biden. I agree. We have to put emotion aside and think in terms of how to save the country, because I just want to do what's best to make sure that the fascist doesn't get in the White House. But not everybody in the United States is as clear as I am. And that's what we need to be concerned about, because we're only talking about a 1 to 3% difference between these two candidates. Okay. 538 has not always had it right, but it shouldn't be that thin given the history of Trump, you would think, right? Joyce Pietra says, I disagree with you on this one. Okay. Charlotte, do you think the U.S. is ready for a woman of color for presidency? Yes, I do. I do. I think that there are more people, there are people voting that they're 18 years old, right? So they live in a different world than Trump. They don't go to church. They're not interested in that. How do we get them to be excited about voting? I think Kamala Harris could make young people excited about voting. Now they'll try and say she's anti-Semitic and she hates the Jews and blah, 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 blah. She's going to be bad for Israel. Her husband's Jewish. Okay. They go to synagogue. They raise their child in a dual culture. It's working out just fine. So again, we have to just be very clear. If she takes it, we have to be ready to answer questions about she's an anti-Semite. Her husband's Jewish. Her kid is, has a Jewish father. So we have to just, boom, we have to be very, very clear, because people get confused and we're not confused. Let's take a look, Charlotte. If we go with anybody other than Biden or Harris, Trump will win. If we try and play it safe and give it to Pete Buttigieg, Trump will win. Buttigieg will lose under Trump. Kamala Harris will not. This is Buttigieg's card against a strong candidate. Who wins? Trump. So they're saying you have to stay with the mandate that we do better with Kamala Harris than we would switching it up and giving it to somebody like Pete Buttigieg. Let me check Kamala Harris now. Yeah, that's Pete's card. I love Pete. Let's take a look. Kamala Harris is actually really heartbroken about what Joe Biden is going through, because she genuinely loves Joe. She's heartbroken about what's going on. Her opposition is Trump. This is Trump's card. He's a Gemini, which is an air sign, by the way. The hopes and fears having the power. The final outcome for her is Pete Buttigieg. She has to take Buttigieg as her VP pick, as her running mate. If she takes the presidency, or if it's leaning like we're supporting him before the election, then based on these cards, she needs to pick Buttigieg. You can see Buttigieg as the outcome. She's really loves Joe Biden. I mean, she's not like, I get to be president. She's heartbroken, like, Joe, we need you to hold it together. It's more like that. Looking at donors. Look at the stress over Trump. Biden is really stressed about him. Hopes and fears his health. Final outcome, the karmic wheel falls on Pete Buttigieg, VP. I knew that was going to happen. I'll tell you why. Because of what he said about Pete Buttigieg, that Pete Buttigieg was like his son, and people knew that. And so for him to take somebody who's like his son and give this person that's like his son to Kamala, who he says is like his daughter, that's a very powerful ticket, people. Agree or disagree? Let's talk about it. Who would you rather have if Joe decides to step down? I'm going to pour more tea for myself. His daughter and his son? It's a hell of a ticket. Life goes on. We have to know when to step down from the company business and give it to our kids. Cheers, everyone. Well, congratulations, Disney. Val has become a fairy or an angel. I personally am no angel because, gosh darn it, it's just not that much fun. Instead, I'm a fairy. I like to be a little naughty, but I mean well. Yes. Yes. Welcome, Disney Val. Be sure and tell us which you resonate more with, fairies or angels. We always ask that of our members. I'm more fairy than angel. I'm not nice enough. I'm not a nice person always. My spiritual mother is like Kali, Mahakali, the warrior. I mean, if you want to fight, this is how I've decided to advertise myself as a psychic reader. Okay, tell me what you think, because this is honest. If you are really, really angry at people that have done you wrong, and people are making you feel guilty about all this healthy rage that you have because you've been screwed over, and you need to talk to a reader that is going to let you get as pissed off as you like and say, here, I'm your reader. I believe in a safe place for people to get infuriated by those who have done us wrong, and then to get organized in morally ethical ways. Can we sue them? Can we, yes, I am that reader. I need to embrace the fact that Kali, I seek justice absolute. Somebody says to me, my husband, he was horrible. I know he was horrible. I hate him too. But I really hate him. I really hate him too. Right? I'm an Aries. Hey, you guys have said it. I look best in blood red. Okay. My mama is Kali. Mm-hmm. I'm your reader. I believe it's healthy we have to embrace all the emotions, but really abusing good people and then not allowing them to fight for themselves, I think is really unhealthy. That whole guilt trip where I had to be a little saint while people kicked me around and stole my wallet, I had to really learn to fight back. Yeah. Because there are just a lot of really awful people out there that you need to be a loving person, but also be able to say, listen, buddy, you've picked the wrong victim. I am coming for you. Because the best thing that can happen to a narcissist is what Kali does to her husband. Have y'all seen what Kali does to her husband? What she does to the demon. Some people call it her husband. Some people say it's the demon. He's the demon that's associated with the ego. And Kali comes to us when malignant narcissism has taken hold of the world in ways that actually threaten the world. And when we go so far to the right that, let me see if I can find this. When we go so far to the right that, women have no basic rights, they're treated like toys and playthings. Children are toys and playthings sold on auction blocks, right? Because people want to have a wife who's 9 years old, right? There is a collective rage that starts to happen in women. There's a collective rage that starts to burn. And that burning rage that seeks justice absolute, and I will not stop until I have justice. I will not stop until I have justice. I seek I will not stop. And They will not stop until they have crushed their enemy. This is why Kali is seen holding the head of the husband or the demon or whatever you know. Here's a better shot of it. Let me see if I can get a better shot of this. I actually have, I just purchased one of these. She destroys the ego. She destroys your ego. She tears you to pieces. She tears you to pieces because that's what needs to happen. To the person that took advantage of you, to the person that lied and stole and violated you because he could. There's nothing you can do about it, you little victim. You are nothing but dirt under my boot. And there's you, the cops aren't going to help you. No one's going to help. And I'm just going to keep making your life hell and get away with it. And there's no recourse. And you just got to take it. Hey, you got to forgive and move on so that I can take more victims. Because when you forgive and move on, it means that I've got a license to do it to somebody else because you didn't do your job of stopping me. So that is the toxic aspects of the New Age movement, right? Because the New Age movement told women that they didn't have a right to be angry, that they had to suppress their anger, that they had to turn the other cheek and walk away and let the perpetrator go and find a new person to abuse. And so what happened was that the demon became insatiable and wanted to eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. And so the whole village was terrorized, right? He was running around eating everything. I want this and that and that, like the spoiled brat, right? Narcissists are spoiled brat. And the more you feed them, the more hungry they become. So Kali balances that out, and she comes in, and you can see she's well armed. She's got spiritual armory. She humbles him. She rips him to little pieces and she stomps on his corpse and she chops off her husband's head and says, "You want to disrespect me again, pumpkin? You should hear the way people have talked to me. People who I once, I've had friends, when my self-esteem was so low, they're clearly not. I now in hindsight realize these are not my friends. These are people who are smacking me around because they can, right? We've all had family members that use us. Thanks, Whimsy. Dad needs more fried chicken. Can you fry him up some more fried chicken? I can't get there to take care of Dad because I'm on a private yacht in French Polynesia. Whimsy, could you fry the chicken? Look, I don't mean to be rude, but this is not my family and this is not my father and you're not paying me. Yeah, whatever. Thank you. I'll see you in a month. Right? So those people exist in this world. And then those of us who are good, well, we can't abandon this guy. He's 94. We got to get him some, right? So the other thing that you'll see with malignant narcissists is they love to just dump it on other people. And then the rest of us, we are the ones dealing with the sick relative. We're the ones. And then they don't think we did it right. The other thing you'll see with malignant narcissists is that they're eating the peanuts. Could you wash my clothes? Could you, what do you do all day? When I'm at the office making money and putting it in my own bank account, what do you do all day? Could you wash the dishes? Could you clean? Why wasn't dinner available at 6? You didn't pick up my dry cleaning? What do you do all day? Right? That's all narcissism, right? No awareness of how they are draining the energy of anybody and everybody else. Take, like a hungry child that cannot be satiated. What's interesting is that when you look at Kali, she has her tongue out like, na, 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 na. But she is stomping on that. She's saying, you know what? You're out of control. I'm taking your toys away and I'm going to crush. You are going to see the rage and the anger that is the consequences of your behavior. The best thing that you can do for a narcissist is to walk away so that he can find another victim, which he will, because they can't live without fuel, right? They have to have fuel, and they can't care for themselves. Most narcissists actually really can't care for themselves. There's certain things that they can't do. They need a fuel source. So Kali helps humble the narcissist that's out of control, the spoiled brat, and stop. The most deadly thing that Kali does is she exposes the abuser, which, by the way, is completely legal in the United States. Which means that if you wanted to publish a letter telling the entire world what the perpetrator did to you, they probably wouldn't have much legal recourse to retaliate because you're telling the truth. And if they retaliated, you could actually use that in court against them. I mean, there's lots of ways in which the law actually works for the victim if the victim understands the law. But the biggest way that the victim understands the law, it helps the victim if they understand the law, is that the truth is the one thing that narcissists are the most terrified of. And exposing them, this is why NDAs are so popular in Hollywood. The thing they fear is the truth. The thing they fear is that the truth will be seen. This is why the sun shines on Kali. Because the truth, this is who and what you really are. Take a look. As she stomps his ego into nothingness, he is forced to see the ugly, horrible, awful that he is. You can see also around her neck the skulls of other people who she's destroyed. Kali teaches us to embrace righteous anger. And while we want peace and we pray for peace, there is a time for war. When people are out of control and they need to be put back in control. If you can't control your own actions, I will take control of you. Yeah, very powerful lessons that we learn from Kali. I come from a land down under. Yeah. And I got that song in my head. Somebody sent it because we were channeling Kali, and where women glow and men plunder. Can you hear that? And she comes with thunder. And it's so interesting, that song, because to plunder is to assault a woman. And women are glowing not with beauty, but glowing with rage. Where women glow and men plunder. Can you hear the thunder of Kali coming? You better run, you better take cover. She's coming and she's taking no prisoners. So if you were out plundering and women are glowing with rage, there will be consequences. There will be consequences for the things that you have done with Kali. All right. So Princess Anne, I felt my shoulder had been hurt. Some people say she was out walking and had an injury. Others say it was a horse, that there was no horse. I felt like I was in a barn or something, and then I had been pushed like this by the horse, possibly on dismount. I felt like my shoulder was injured and that my head hit against a post or something, and that was the cause of the injury. And I felt like I was quite frazzled afterwards, and that I'm still knocked out. I still don't feel like my brain is quite right. It's very disturbing, and I'm concerned I'm not going to come back from this. My health is not good. I can't continue to serve to the extent, well, I know we're all fighting. I see 5 members of the Windsor House screaming at each other. The issue is the charities, the money, the service. The issue is also her health. Here's King Charles, the Red King, right? Britain's color is red. Y'all know that, right? He was in red because the Royal Guard, his colors are red. So we think about King Charles as the Red King, but unfortunately we're entering into time of conflict. 5 possible people in a state of conflict. Why are they in conflict? They're in conflict because they're falling apart and there's nobody to right the ship. And it goes back to what King Charles said. We have to just admit that my mother was the glue that held the family together. It's a devastating thing to have to admit to, and yet that's kind of what we're seeing. So you have these 5 people, working royals, that are fighting. So I'm sure that William and Catherine are a part of that, and then he and Camilla, and then the other person is possibly Anne. So none of them are doing well right now. Yeah, they're in very bad shape. Everyone's having a health crisis. They say everyone's having a health crisis. It's everyone's having a health crisis. This is Charles. It's a mess. As Charles, it's too much. We all have to take a break. No, everyone needs a break. Regarding look at that tower right over them. Heart disease, heart attack, possibly chemo related, right? That can injure the heart. Eating disorders or the inability to eat can damage the heart because of cachexia. Heart damage due to strength is heart issues. Concerned about the heart being this chemo and lack of food, lack of calories. The heart needs calories. This is all putting strain on these folks' hearts. What is the king? The Red King? What is his biggest concern? His legacy. 10 of Pentacles standing in 9th position. The hopes and fears. Of course, his legacy is his. What are we fighting about? What is it going on about? Our health. Archangel Raphael moving into 10th position. The Archangel of Healing. We have 4 archangels symbolized in the tarot with the pages, which are also known as messengers, malachim in Hebrew. And the healing waters are associated with, if you look at Jewish mystical writings, Raphael. So the fighting is regarding issues of health. I feel terrible. I mean, they're all getting older, and they didn't have a lot of children, and they couldn't really afford to lose what children they had. William can't operate. He can barely operate. I mean, he's in the doghouse. His father didn't speak to, it was a damn trooping of the colors. Can you imagine? He didn't speak to his son, William, once in 3 hours. He wouldn't even look at him. He was forced to be the last in line to enter and leave. They're in very bad shape. I have no doubt that they blame him for a lot of the problems. Yeah. All right. Team TM Clowmet says she there is arriving late, probably moved on to other topics, but I can tell you that I live in the ruby red state, and sadly, while I love Pete, I doubt that many here would vote for a gay man. Well, Indiana, maybe not, because Indiana, like you said, is more red. But I think that with younger generation, yeah, he could shock people. People of color and also LGBTQ community and women. I think he could take Indiana if he was the VP pick. I think people are underestimating just how angry the left is. We're very angry. We're very, very angry right now for a lot of reasons. We see what happened in Britain and France. We're not going to be gaslit, right? We know that Russia is bankrupting the West. And I think that voters are smarter than people realize. Okay, Joyce Petrus writes, will there be a surprise colleague coming forward with information about Trump's in regard to Epstein days? Yes, this is the time of Kali. And so that means that we can expect the women of the world to rise up and be angry. Now, if you're looking at ancient traditional cultures, to avoid war, about 4 or 5 months before when the war was brewing, the first thing that the female chiefs ordered was women to rise and leave their beds. And that's what they did. They would rise and retire to the women's village. Women's villages exist in different cultures for different reasons, where women go and have spa. Maybe they're having difficult menstrual cycles. They go to give birth. But many cultures, they would have an actual area where women could go to retire and get away from men, right? So in many of these cultures, women rose up and they took their bedclothes and everything and said goodbye. And they retired to the ladies' quarters and said, we're going to stay here until you men figure it out. This was the first withdrawal of women, was from the beds. The second was cooking. There are jokes about Jewish women doing this in wartime where Shabbat would come, Sabbath would come, and women were trying to avoid some terrible thing, and they had left their beds, they had stopped taking the ritual baths, but they still had to cook for their husband because it's Shabbat, it's the Jewish Sabbath. So, I give him one crepe block instead of two, I give him one noodle instead of two, You give him the bare minimum. He gets the hint. So you don't want to sleep in my bed, and now you're giving me only one meatball. You'll survive. Right. And it's really fascinating to see in these cultures how women were able to get men to snap out of their crazy. So that's what Kali is about. Kali is us taking control of the situation because they're out of control. Yeah. Leaving the bed and leaving the kitchen and retiring to be with the other women. But honey, dinner's at 6. Now, if you look at Smallville, what was the name of that movie where the kid goes to that world and everybody, it's a TV show he wants to go live on with Tobey Maguire, and his wife withdraws to go find herself. He comes home at 6. Where's my dinner? Right? That's all he cares. It's 6 o'clock. Where's my wife always serves me dinner at 6 o'clock. So she leaves, she withdraws from his bed, and she stops cooking for him in that film. What was the name of that film? Tobey Maguire. He goes into a TV world. It also it had a couple of other famous people in it too, like the blonde actress from Ruthless People. It's a great film. And who else was in that? You guys know the movie I'm talking about? Ruthless People. That was a good movie too. Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire film. Yeah. It was one of his first films. Okay. I'll figure it out. Pleasantville. Do you guys remember? It was Pleasantville. Did you guys see Pleasantville? Yeah. He wanted to go live in Pleasantville. And yeah, he went to live in Pleasantville. But Kali shows up. Kali shows up in Pleasantville. All right. Joyce wants to know, will there be a surprise Kali coming information for Trump in regarding to the Epstein information? Let's take a look. What's going on with CNN? It's like they're really helping Trump. They did this the last time. It's like they want Trump. All right. Kali is coming. She will come to balance things out. How will this affect Trump? I keep seeing Pete Buttigieg. He's able to have a lot of power because he has a lot of people helping him. Like the Heritage Foundation is really a mysterious right-wing crazy group, right? And he's a part of that. But she's got the magician, so I have to be honest, Trump is looking pretty good. He's fearing incarceration and he's fearing the law. There's fighting. What Trump is trying to do, his one chance of winning the White House is to get Democrats to fight. Fighting. And then there's Buttigieg. They want us in disarray. They want us weakened. The opposition, a thief is attempting to flee, and there's some truth coming out. He doesn't want the truth to come out. Power with the truth. The power stands with the truth. But I needed another clarification for that, because Trump is a pathological liar. But if you want to learn the Tarot and Torah from a Torah perspective, if you're looking for Torah symbolisms, I teach it a little different than other people who read the Tarot. But the archangels are in the cards in the Torah. But the page of swords is a different energy as an angel, because he carries a sword of truth. Who here knows which archangel carries the sword of truth? Very different than the one who carries the healing waters. There's 4 archangels. Will you guys answer that? I'm going to take another sip of my medicinal tea. Some of you have had tarot classes with me. I loved Pleasantville. I thought it was a lot of fun. The question is, which archangel is associated with the Page of Swords? Very good. Wendy Burke got it right. Oh, so did Mar. So did Annie and Geocosmic. Most people know that, but it's kind of, and he's also associated with air, right? Air and ice. So magician is power, and Archangel Michael brings the sword of truth. So for that reason, the truth is, I want to see what the consequence. They're saying that some major truth is coming. Remember also that the one thing that narcissists fear is the truth, because the truth lets the world see who and what the narcissist really is. The portrait of Dorian Gray, right? He didn't want people to see the truth of who and what he really was. They're always trying to cover it up with fancy clothing and looking good and smiling and flirting. But the truth of the matter is they're very low self-esteem, etc. Trump's future. He's having a heart health crisis. He can't take extreme heat. And he's attempting to, he was caught possibly stealing and is attempting to avoid a charge of theft. Heart disease, heart condition. The Democrats are working on a strong partnership. Hopes and fears, a case being built against him. He attempts to flee like a thief. What's going on with his heart? You cannot live forever on cheeseburgers. Who eats like that? I got some beautiful food today. I treated myself because I just didn't want to cook. I treated myself to some of that, a restaurant that's like the Hungry Root vegan. I'm trying to eat more vegan clean because, I haven't been taking good care of myself. But you feel it when you eat right. You feel it. But this guy, I'm telling you, he's not doing well. 3 of Swords in the 7th house, his immediate environment. I think this guy could get taken out by a heart attack if he's not careful. The cops are on him. I think that Trump's finished, and I think that it doesn't matter what the Supreme Court says. He has justice right on top of him. Look at this. He's heartbroken. He's waiting for a ship to come in. 3 of Wands. Look at the opposition. Look how strong the Democrats are. Creating new partnerships, lovers reaching across the aisle. We're building a wide tent. His hopes and fears, the case, right? He's worried about Georgia too. And the final outcome is King of Wands with the 7 of Swords. King of Wands seeks justice, absolute, and also boundaries and borders. Remember always when you see a wand is heat, a wand is time. It's bound by time. There is one card that you can read time with that is a water sign. only one, and that is the Knight of Cups, which is the March baby. So the month of March is the Knight of Cups. But other than that, I never read. I can never read the time with cups. Time is usually associated with the wand suit, and that's because of trees. And we can read time in trees, and trees grow. They get bigger and bigger over time, which is not true for something like a sword or water. It just goes with the flow. So we can see time in a tree. And so for that reason, when most readers are looking for time, they will look to the wands. I read a wand as a single month. Others read it as a season, but I've heard people say it's a season. I don't read it that way. So the Four of Wands is usually my April card, or a 4-month period, or the 4th month. Six of Wands is within 6 months or by Christmas. It has the Christmas wreath. What else can I tell you about that? That's about it. Yeah. Meth damages the heart. Yeah, and amphetamines. Sorry about this cough. All of that can harm the heart and create stress on the heart. So the truth is, according to the cards, the truth is coming out about Trump. Also, he was attempting to get money that he wasn't entitled to. There's some investigation coming in about that. And there's some judge after him. King of Wands is coming after him, and that's never a good sign, because King of Wands is all about territory and seeks justice absolute. In the Yoruba tradition, he's Chango. So he's the righteous warrior. He's the archetype of the righteous, brave warrior. He's brave. He's Braveheart. He's fearless. He's the entrepreneur. He takes no prisoners. He's the pioneer. A Page of Wands is also a spring card. My way or the highway. He's the Aries child, associated with Uriel, but also Ari, the lion. That's the Page of Wands. And the reason why Page of Wands is associated with Ari and with fire and Aries, Uriel, and why they're all connected is because Ari is the Lion of Judah, and it's associated with heat and fire. And so that's why Uriel is associated with the Page of Wands, also territory, space, yang, Mars energy of Aries. It's amazing when you really go deep into the Torah Tarot, how much you find in the symbols. It's very, very, very deep. That's why I really enjoy teaching the Tarot. All right, we've been here for over an hour. I'm going to go ahead and call it quits. If you need to see me as a doctor, or if you need to see me as a reader, I can call you via phone or telemedicine. Check the information below. Thank you, everyone who supports the channel, who paid for memberships and subscribed. It's much appreciated. All right. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless.